About Atom Eve, a podcast about Betty Davis movies, as well as our favorite character from Prime Video's Invincible. I'm Alex. Just kidding. Just kidding. This is Podvincible, a podcast about Invincible. That's the bit that we do at the top here. You might have forgotten because the last episode was on April 30th, 2021. That was a long time ago. I am still Alex, though. That part is true.
Okay. All right. That part's true.
I know you really stepped on the names part of this. I'm Justin.
I'm Pete.
And we are back. We got a ton of stuff to talk about in the world of Prime Video's Invincible. We are going to recap and review the new episode that surprise dropped last night. It is an entire full-length episode, over 50 minutes long, telling the origin of Atom Eve. It is called, depending on who you ask, Invincible Atom Eve, or Invincible presents a special episode featuring Atom Eve, which is
how I
think they started it on Prime Video as season 202. Or something.
Yeah, the numbering was weird. I also like the idea that Invincible's presenting this. Like, he produced it. He's sort of like to introduce my friend, Atom Eve.
Yeah, woo. So we are going to talk about the episode and get into spoilers for it. If you haven't checked it out on Prime Video because you didn't know it was coming, because they didn't let people know until 10 p.m. Eastern time last night, go check it out.
Comic-Con drop, man. This is
Comic-Con drop. But before we get to that, we got a bunch of news stuff to talk about also from the world of Invincible. The big news is we do finally have a premiere date for season 2. The first 4 episodes are going to start broadcasting on Prime Video, one a week, starting November 3rd. And then it's going to take a hiatus for a while and come back at some point in 2024 for the next 4 episodes. We don't know when yet. Obviously, they're taking a while with the animation. Animation takes a while. The voice stuff takes a while. In case anybody is wondering, this doesn't have anything to do with the currently going SAG strike or WGA strike. Animation is on a different contract than that. So that's not any part of the holdup. They're just they're taking their time to get this right, is what I think's happening.
Well, and I think it shows in the product that we'll maybe talk about with the Atom Eve episode, because I think this animation is simultaneously like its own thing, but still has the energy of the comic book in spades. Like, it's really well done. So I say take the time.
Yeah, definitely take the time. Pay people what they're supposed to be paid and don't overwork them.
Yeah. If you can't take the time, don't pay the crime, I always say.
What?
I don't know why I say that.
That's not a saying.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I say it all the time anyway.
Yeah. Don't pay the crime is what Alex says.
All right, let's talk about the trailer already.
Yes, Pete is bursting at the seams because I made him just watch it, so he is ready to talk about it right now. As part of this announcement, they also dropped a teaser trailer for season 2, giving us some footage there. Pete.
What? We got 2 gifts, not just one. We got 2. That's so special.
Oh my gosh, they love you so much. Robert Kirkman loves you so much, Pete. He said that in San Diego. He was like, this is for Pete LePage, who I love.
Well, I love him right back.
LePage.
Yeah. There was, oh my God, I was there in the room and 6,000 people at the same time said, huh?
There were a lot of Pete cosplayers this year, just dressed up in regular clothes, holding a duffel bag.
Dudes with beards who are kind of angry. You're correct.
Yeah. I'm always there.
Well, let's talk about this. What did you think about the trailer, Pete? You seem pretty jazzed.
Yeah. Oh, man, it was super exciting. Very well done. It sounds like the voice of Optimus Prime is joining the cast. That's very exciting.
Peter Cullen?
Yeah. And also, just kind of like a crazy badass way to end it. It seems like the super dad still being a super douche.
Pretty much. Justin, what did you think about this? It sounds like maybe you were a little more mixed on the teaser.
No, I mean, I liked it. I was just saying, I feel like that was a very harsh last line to go out on. You should have never been born. I was like, that's the takeaway message we're walking away with?
Here's what I think this teaser trailer was doing, was it was leaning into the conversation around the show and everybody memifying Omni-Man over the past couple of years in a very similar way to how Homelander is memed out of The Boys. And I think they were conversing with that. They were giving people a new meme for Omni-Man at the end there that is super harsh. The whole speech was about like, it's been a long time. I don't know if you're ready for this. and then Invincible saying, I'm paraphrasing here, but something about like, you have no idea what I'm capable of, I think is the line. Yeah. So definitely teasing like a even darker, potentially season 2. Yes, Pete, you have a question.
Yeah, I was just wanted to jump in here before we change subjects. I think it's a reference to the Atom Eve special episode that we saw, because it was like she almost died in childbirth and then they thought she was dead, but then she was alive. So the kind of tagline to tie into the special drop was, you should have never been born, which was, kind of the subject.
I mean, again, I don't want to blow up the spot too much, but at the San Diego Comic-Con panel, after the trailer played, Robert Kirkman came out and was like, Pete LePage, that was about you. That was specifically about you.
It's kind of fucked up that you said that, because it's partially true. So thank you.
Pete, I think you're suffering
nightmares with you guys. Wow. That's really good.
Oh my God.
We can tell. I feel like that's recency bias, Pete, though, that you think it's about the Atom Eve special. Because
it's funny that you say it. So
naturally, you think
it's funny that you say that. You can't make that comment. Everything that comes out new and shiny, you're like, this is the best. This is the best. This is the best.
Well, before we do turn it back over to Atom Eve, I just wanted to read off a couple of these names here, because beyond showing off footage from the upcoming season, again, they have packed this cast with
Sterling K. Brown's there.
Yes, Sterling K. Brown, you were correct about Peter Cullen, but a bunch of the other names, just reading them off in case the title card went by too fast for you. They got Chloe Bennett, they got Rob Delaney, Luke McFarlane, Jay Farrow, Rhea Seahorn, Carrie Walgreen, Chantel Van Santen, Cliff Curtis, Callista Flockhart.
Shit.
Yeah, Scoot McNairy, Leah Thompson, Peter Cullen, Tim Robinson is going to be in it, Tatiana Maslany, and this is something we'll get to in a second in case I forget to talk about it later. She does a voice in the Atom Eve episode, and I think what the Atom Eve episode is doing is it's not just a standalone thing that gives us more information about Atom Eve, it's also sneakily setting up some stuff for season 2, including Tatiana Maslany's villain character, Daveed Diggs, Ella Purnell, Josh Keaton, which we should also talk about in a second, Paul F. Tompkins, Ben Schwartz, and Phil Lamar, among many, many other people. So that's very cool.
Why should we talk about
great mix
Michael Keaton's Paul Keaton?
Not everybody named Keaton is related to Michael Keaton.
Oh, man, that kind of stinks, right?
Yeah, totally. Josh Keaton. Let me throw this out
I feel like you got hyped for Callista Flockhart.
So what?
What's that all about?
So what?
So what?
What do you
I didn't know you were of a Flockhart head.
What?
He's part of the flock. Pete's the leader of the flock.
What are you talking about, man? Name one thing of Flockhart's you don't like.
I didn't know.
Name one thing of Flockhart's that isn't fucking a banger.
I didn't know you were a Pally McBeal.
You know it.
The reason we should talk about Josh
Solo,
Keaton,
what's not to like? I mean, come on.
The reason we should talk about Josh Keaton, and this is a theory that I saw bumping around once his name was revealed as part of the cast, is Josh Keaton is one of the guys who does the voice of Spider-Man for animated series. Prime Video is putting a bunch of was putting a bunch of live action Spider-Man series together. So they definitely have a relationship with Sony. I believe the animated series also stream on Prime Video. Could be wrong about that. And famously, Invincible crossed over with Spider-Man in the comics. So given that they're going to, they don't show this off in the teaser trailer, but they're going to be leaning into, I think it's Armstrong Levy. Is that the name of the character, the villain from the Invincible comics, who can cross through the multiverse? They're going to be doing some multiverse stuff in the second season. Do you think there's a possibility that Spider-Man shows up and crosses over with Invincible on the show?
I mean, that feels like a reach to me, but to talk about a cliffhanger to go out on at the end of your 4th episode.
Yeah. Or even if it's just like a quick glimpse or something like that, I wonder if they could work it out. I think that would be fun. We'll see. There you go. Very exciting. Lots more to come, presumably, as we head towards the November 3rd date. But let's get into the big thing, which is the release of an entire episode of Invincible Atom Eve. As we talked about over the course of this episode, we get to see Atom Eve's origin. She was part of a scientist's manipulation at the behest of the Pentagon. He saved her, gave her to the Wilkins family, which is where we catch up with her in the main Invincible series. And we get to see her at age 7 figuring out who she is and what she wants. And then again at age 12, when she first really gets her powers, exploring her powers, becoming a superhero, being in her first big superhero fight, suffering some tremendous loss. And then at the very end, we loop back to the Grayson family and get a little bit of thing there. But
Duct Tape Man.
The Wilkins family.
No, the Grayson family at the end. I'm saying.
Mark Grayson.
Yeah, Mark Grayson. We get the little tag there that we'll talk about a little bit in a second. But overall, I thought this was great. It reminded me what I loved about the series, because it has been a little while, that the fight scenes are insane and go so hard. And it always hits you with these deep wells of emotion at the same time. Great stuff. I was really impressed.
Across the board, I mean, I agree. Like this episode had a lot of Stranger Things energy, and I mean that in a good way. Like her origin, it dipped right into like the horror sci-fi genre really well. Used story elements that we've seen before, but made them deeply emotional. Like the turn at the end where her mom was still in the tube, I was like, not necessary. So harsh. Yeah. But they hit those marks. And the sibling fight between her and the blonde guy who spent his life in the tube was horrible.
Tube life.
It was tube life.
Rough life. That's
Go back to your tube, says the scientist. That's what I feel when we're not podcasting. I'm in the tube.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, I felt like it was a little bit more kind of like anime manga horror, just from those kind of like tube moments and that your mom's still alive but barely kind of shit that's just super gross. But like Zalbin said, this show goes hard. It leans into the violence. It leans into the horror. I mean, but you had to know the scientist who, is, that's my stapler, is going to be attached to somebody. So like, it was nice to see him, like, even though he was in the shadows, like trying to care about her. And then even though he came off as a creeper, they still had kind of like a nice moment before, spoilers, he got shot in the head and then died horribly. But that's the thing about this show, is because it goes so hard, you're gonna cry, you're gonna laugh. Like the part where she remade the family photo was just what a powerful moment. You really get all of the range of the emotions in this, and it's really well done and well voice acted for sure.
If you were redoing your family photo, who'd you throw in there? You can say me, Pete.
I mean, right off the top of my head, probably Optimus Prime. You know what I mean? Just
is he your dad in this scenario?
You don't think you were raised by Saturday morning cartoons a little bit? I'm the only one who thinks that.
I mean, I was not raised by Saturday morning cartoons, but to back up what you're saying, the first time I rode the Transformers ride at Universal Orlando, and at the end, Optimus Prime leans in, is like, "Thank you for saving the Earth," and looks directly in the eyes, I started getting a little teary-eyed, and I thought, "Thank you, Dad."
Yeah, for sure.
That you landed that plane in a very different spot. You're just like Pete in this way. You kiss that Optimus on the lips.
Absolutely.
On your way out the door.
Absolutely. I love him.
My dad is Bucky O'Hare, Pete.
Yeah, Captain Bucky O'Hare.
He's a captain.
My dad is my dad. All right.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm just.
All right.
Oh.
Congrats.
You mean the dad from American Dad? I'm unclear.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
about.
The alien from American Dad, who I definitely know the name of, is my cousin.
About Al Bundy is your dad?
Yeah, sure. They're all my dad. There's a bunch of dads in there. There's like 7 dads in a photo. That's what I do. I will say I loved all this episode. The only moment that I didn't quite buy was when Phase 2, who is the evil blonde goopy dude who is voice acted by Jacob Tremblay, after being like, "You ruined my life," for 15 solid minutes in a balls to the wall fight scene, when he starts flaking away Avengers Infinity War style and falls down in her arms, and he's like, "I wish we could have been family."
Yeah, but that's a classic kind of brother sister. Like you pound each other for a while, and then once you got all out of your system, you got a kind of a clear head, and you're like, "What are we doing? Oh, we could have had some, But I think that was a fun kind of brother sister moment. I thought that really spoke to the truth of it.
I'm with you, Alex. I wanted him to say, "I don't feel so good, Mrs. Eve."
Oh.
No, I don't know. I got that, what you were saying, Pete. Like, I understand that was the purpose of the moment, and it didn't ruin the episode for me or anything, but it didn't quite track. Like, there was too quick of a turn there. I wanted to have something else in the dialogue during the fight where
I just
Eve
think
is
that
trying to
you're
reach out to him in some way and be like, please, we can do this a different way. We can be brother and sister. We didn't get any of that. She was like, no way, I'm Adam Eve. Stop pounding on me. This is your fault.
Yeah.
And trying to rip them to shreds.
I just think some of us have love and anger a little closer together. You know what I mean? Like a little bit more entwined. You know, you seem to have it kind of separated.
Yeah, I got it all.
Well, but I also, that's interesting, Pete. But I also think, I agree with you, Alex. It would have made more sense if he said something really dark at that point. Like,
No.
This is how it was always going to end, or some horrible thing. Because I feel like that's what was set up there. But, you know, I feel like even though this show goes so hard, is so dark at points, that someone was like, can you say something nice in here? Have him say something nice on the way out the door.
Yeah. Well, but it sets up the whole end of the episode where her new father figure, Brandyworth, who doesn't know who her real father's is, question mark, maybe to be picked up later, dies. Her mom, who is in a tube, dies. Her 3 to 4 brothers, I lost count at a certain point, also die and flake away and goop away. So that leads to that family photo thing we're talking about at the end, and that moment wouldn't make sense if, as he was falling in her arms, he was like, fuck yeah, you know? So
Yeah.
I get it. I get why it was there, and I get the arc of it. It just didn't totally track with me. I will, while we're working our way backwards through the episode, throw out there, though, that I love the fact, and I know this is like a base level superhero thing, but that Adam Eve spent most of the fight saving people at the same time.
Yeah.
We miss that in a lot of superhero movies and TV shows where everybody's just screaming and running away. The fact that like he's throwing cars at her and she's taking it and fooping people out on light slides and everything like that.
Yeah, doing the Green Lantern moves.
Yeah, no, I was really happy to see that, honestly, as a superhero fan.
Well, I think Invincible always does a good job with that stuff where it is the comic book trope, but they cut out all the like, hey, don't do that. You'll kill these innocent bystanders. I feel like that's the slower, more frustrating version. But just like a hero's going to fight these people who like they could easily resolve it with like maybe a quick conversation. But instead we just go. And that makes all the difference in the way it lands, I think.
Yeah. I also really like the slow development of her powers. Like we're saying, you know this arc. You've seen this arc a million times where you have that first night of doing the Spider-Man jumping and figuring out how to jump off all the discs. They even have a shot in there where she jumps off one of the discs in sort of slow motion as she's arching her back, which is straight up one of the shots of Miles Morales from Spider-Verse, the first one. But yeah, it's okay. Like, I think it's okay to do that stuff. It's okay to have, and then her next mission, she goes from taking care of guys who are kidnapping dogs to taking care of Kill Cannon, one of the many, many disposable villains who shows up all the time in the Invincible universe. So they did it well. Like, these are tropes, but as long as you do them well, I think it's okay.
The soul patch line was really hilarious that she dropped there.
I think his name was actually Gets Beat Up by Girls Cannon, if I'm correct.
Which is fine. His
canonical canon name.
Yeah, the two exchanges back to back also were two of my favorite in the episode, where he says, "Sorry, kid, you're not made for this," and she says, "I literally was," and then blows up his arm, and then Brandyworth comes out of nowhere, and she says, "How did you do that?" And he says, "I have a lot of time on my hands." That's all. Made me laugh out loud.
Yeah.
Well, getting back to what you're saying about sort of referencing the Miles Morales pose and all that, like Invincible always was like a response to all of comicdom. It was Robert Kirkman's way of being like, this is my take. It's going to be extra violent. It's going to go hard all the time, but still have like, Spider-Man style humor and comedy in it. And this show's just doing that so well at the same time. Like, it's not meant to be like a completely original take on superhero-dom. It's like, hey, let's do the most fun version of all this stuff that we love.
Yeah. Going the other direction, aka the chronological direction, back to the beginning of the episode, I really liked starting this off in a place where we think we're continuing forward in time from where we left off in Invincible. with this lizard crew led by lizard family led by Tatiana Maslany's character attacking a lab, and it slowly becomes clear over the course of this fight when the Guardians of the Globe show up, and then of course Omni-Man shows up, and then we get to see Atom Eve's mom. It was a nice slow reveal there over the course of that scene, because I was initially confused. I'm trying to figure it out, and then you're like, oh, okay, I get what they're going for. So it was paced out really well.
Yeah, there was this weird moment though when like they were getting away in the car, and then Omni-Man flies out and kind of notices it, but then he's like, and goes back. And I was just kind of like, wait, why wouldn't, like he tried to stop that, especially if that kind of evil dude knows him.
Well, because it was like, two unrelated things is the thing that's happening. Like there's the Pentagon lab, which is where Atom Eve is being developed. These lizard people know something great is in there that the government wants, and that's why they're attacking. Brandyworth is using that opportunity to get Atom Eve's mom out of there, and the Guardians of the Globe are trying to stop the lizard people from attacking the Pentagon lab. So he's not trying to stop Brandyworth. Omni-Man is not trying to stop Brandyworth. He is just there at the same time.
Yeah, it just seems like a guy who's secretly super evil would kind of like be like, I should probably.
But he's not trying to reveal himself. That's the whole thing. It's back.
Yeah,
in
he's
time.
far away from that. Yeah. But I agree. I like this a lot, and I especially like.
No, what? Pete's not sold. That's all I was saying.
Yeah, no, he's undersold. I really like the switched at birth. The way they played that, I thought was really well done. That was cool.
And kind of messed up at the same time. Like, oh, your baby didn't die. Here you go.
Well, I mean, that's the best news you can get in that situation. You know what I mean? Like,
was the nurse working with Brandyworth, or did Brandyworth be like, here's the baby, it didn't die?
Yeah,
I think the nurse was like, happened. Sounds good. Yeah. Sounds good to me.
I mean, what are you going to do? Go, oh, I don't trust you? No, this family needs this baby. So, like, it turns out they're horrible parents, but, they had the potential of being great.
I mean, the baby area of any hospital is sort of like a mix-up waiting to happen.
Oh, yeah,
they're
always
fun,
switching babies
goofs.
in there.
Yeah, you switch babies just for fun. See, they're all the same, sort of. We're probably brothers. We're probably brothers.
Oh, my God. Probably. We look basically the same. Pete, what did you think about Lance Reddick, the late Lance Reddick, as the voice of the evil general? How did that make you feel?
Oh yeah, that was tough, but man, it was. It's nice to see. It's nice to get kind of moments like that, But yeah, I mean, it's hard because you don't know. It's kind of like the slow reveal of like, oh, here are these parents that are hopefully going to care for this baby, and then you were like, oh man. Did she get out of a bad situation? We don't know yet, but then we find out tube life is just worse. So like, yes, she did get raised better. But man, it was a lot of like real emotional kind of reveals over the whole kind of episode. So yeah, I really liked the way they kind of laid it all out and kind of designed the app. I thought it was super smart. And, there was a little bit in the beginning of like, okay, let's get to, her getting the powers. But it was done in such an interesting way. And that whole Val part was also heartbreaking, where she had a friend she could be herself with. But
I wanted to ask about that, because that feels like a dangling thing in the middle of the episode to me.
You think Val's going to come back?
Well, that's my question. Do you think Val is going to come back?
Yeah, because they're going to want to play with our emotions more. And they're going to be like, oh, we left this little soft spot for you, and we're going to exploit it.
I think it was just, it makes Eve feel shame and for the first time about her powers. And I think that was a big motivator for her. So it felt to me like it was a sort of Val one and done. Back to the tube, Val.
Back to the tube life. In the scene.
Wait, real quick though, does tube life? You think tube life's really that bad? Because it's like sort of swimming all the time. I love swimming.
Yeah, but when you can only live in a tube, it's bad, man. You know what I mean? Like if you're on the outside and you're like looking and being like, "Hey, oh man, that tube life seems sweet." You're just kind of floating in some fluid.
Yeah, the tube is always greener on the other side. That's what you're saying.
Let's just make a choice real quick. Just go down the line. Tube life or home life? No explanation necessary. Which one do you choose? Pete, tube life or home life? Home life. Justin?
Tube life.
What? No way you would actually pick.
I'm also going.
Who's cooking your food? The tube. Tube just providing food. Tube food.
I'm with you,
haven't
man.
you seen The Matrix? Is the whole point. You don't want to live as a battery just plugged into a tube, man.
You want to live in Zion with all those weird sweaters? Get out of here, dude. Stay in the tube.
Come on, dude.
Plugs in your back and stuff. People
The music and dance scene is unbelievable there. Come on.
Is it? I don't know. That seems like a lot of people are very crowded.
It's crazy. You're like, oh, my favorite part about Matrix? The dance scene. Those guys go hard. Big DJ.
Yeah. Great. We established that. Speaking of
life.
food,
Couple of tube dudes.
in the scene where they're 12-year-olds and they're playing Truth or Dare, there's a bag of chips and it's labeled Cheps, CHEPS. Do you think that's the brand name, or are chips called Cheps in the world of Invincible? I'm very torn. Personally.
It's very it's a Valley Girl brand, like Chaps. Let's go get some Chaps.
Okay,
let's get some Chaps.
Chapstick.
Yeah, so it's a brand name.
Oh, great. Wow, once again, we were torn asunder by different opinions here.
We all have a take.
Similarly, I'll throw out another food take. Would you prefer an olive and cream cheese sandwich or a burger, which is the thing that Eve changes it into?
Olive and cream cheese.
That was the grossest.
I love a salty treat.
Pete, burger or olive and cream cheese sandwich?
A burger all day, day.
Wow. All day, day. You're going to die very soon, my friend.
Well, I eat a lot of garbage plates.
Too much red meat, man.
That's like a burger that's been smashed with a hammer, right?
Yep.
As I'm working through my notes here, I like the weird detail that she's bad at basketball. Like, she cannot make a dunk to save her life. That was very fun. I thought that was going to come back in some way. She seems to get more coordinated as she gets control of her powers, but I don't know. And then
I really liked the turning the book to glass moment. I thought that was a really
cool.
beautiful understanding of her first use of her powers. Mm-hmm. And then I also loved when she goes out to fight crime for the first time, and we got a Cruella de Vil situation with two goofy dog thieves or whatever. Very fun.
It was
also
very
the
funny.
Shot of them getting their heads covered in metal and then dragging themselves.
Having to drag away. That was really funny. Yeah, it was like an edgeworm kind of situation. It was very fun.
Let me throw out another thing at you, and this might be me totally forgetting things from the previous season. Again, it's been a while, but one of the big through lines of this episode is that as Eve gets her powers, she realizes she can't change living beings or living matter the same way that she can.
You saw that with the squirrel, she can't be the squirrel master.
Yes, she can't change a squirrel into a puppy, and then slowly Brandyworth reveals to her that is a mental block he has put inside of her to put some limits on her powers. It certainly seems like she breaks through those mental blocks after her mom and Brandyworth die in order to wipe the memories and change the brains of Erickson, Lance Reddick's character, as well as the scientist.
She heals herself that way,
and she heals herself. My question is, and again, maybe I'm forgetting, she still has those blocks in place, right, in the present, or has she broken through and they're gone now?
I think this episode proved that she's broken through to the other side.
I'm trying to remember the comic, and I think it is a later reveal when she reforms herself, right? Isn't that where she sort of does that for the first time? Yeah,
I don't know. We should really check these facts, but it was a question that came up in my mind, and whether it's something, again, that will play into the new season in some way, potentially.
Well, I like the way they did it, where she went full Avatar mode to reference Avatar: The Last Airbender, the TV series, not the movie, where that was her. Well, it's an important difference in many ways.
Are you talking about blue people or not? I mean, just say non-blue Avatar, and then it's an easier way to say it.
Well, but also there's an Avatar: The Last Airbender movie that's very bad. So
yeah, but it's not blue. It's not blue people, so we would know.
Yeah, this is a great debate. This is really good, and I love it. But to get back to the episode for a second and throw another question out at you guys, I know I mentioned this earlier, but we get this reveal from Brandyworth about her background. He lies to her and says that her mom worked in the lab when actually she was a homeless woman that he brought in to experiment on. We also don't know who Eve's father is. I could go either way on this. I think Either it doesn't matter who her father is because her mom got pregnant as a homeless woman. It could be absolutely anybody, and it's fine. But that does feel like some, in soap opera sense, a dangling thing out there that you could pick up later. Again, what do you think? Are they going to pick up on that in some sense in the new season or beyond, or is it just done in one like the other stuff you're thinking?
I kind of almost wonder, because there's a moment where she touched his hand, like if maybe he was the father, but now that you're like, they found her pregnant before they knew each other. So that kind of ruins that theory. But I held out hope against logic because he seemed like a nice guy.
Nice, but sort of inhumane in a lot of ways.
Aren't we all?
Well, I don't know about that. I think that'll be left. I think that to me speaks to her not having a family, having to sort of put her family together, like in the photo at the final thing. It's these people that she is sort of related to, her actual mom that she never knew, and all that. So I feel like it is going to be something that's like she just has, unless she signs up for 23andMe and gets connected to her father.
Big plot in the new season where she has to decide between 23andMe or Ancestry.com. Which one's better? Don't use either of those things, by the way. Bad idea.
Yeah. Shouts to that. Optimus Prime does the voice of Ancestry.com, I think.
Does he?
You must be psyched, Pete.
Yeah. I am all of your dads. I really like the line from the scientist dude working with Erickson after Adam Eve breaks out, where he's like, I told you those restraints were theoretical. Very fun.
Yeah.
And the last scene I thought was a great surprise mid-credits, where they just put up on screen, where was Mark Grayson in all of this? He comes out, he doesn't have his powers yet, and he says, I'm going to be duct tape mad, and he's put duct tape all over him. You got this sweet note, seemingly sweet scene between his mom and his dad before everybody leaves, and then Omni-Man goes through 1 million different emotions.
I know.
I thought that was great. I love that. What did you guys think?
I mean, the guy's a fucking douche. Don't waste camera time on him. But
he's the villain of the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just think that the kind of sweetness before, that relationship goes south is, it's hard to watch because we know it's a lie. But the mom being absolutely adorable about the son, and the fact that you didn't think about, now you have duct tape everywhere, and this is really going to hurt trying to get this off.
I agree. I thought it was fun. I will say I was about to be like, end episode when that popped on there. So I think the timing was just right.
Yes.
On the titles coming on. And then I agree. I liked Omni-Man having that thing, like, I want to kill all these people, and then feeling that instant regret and actual underlying emotion. I think that's the perfect setup for probably what we're going to see this season. Because he is a villain, and he hates humanity and eventually his son, but he also, loves his son, and he struggles with those two things. So like, that's what the central problem with him. And like, we read the comics, and I won't say what happens, but like, he goes back and forth a ton on that spectrum.
Yeah. Yeah, that is actually a detail I remember from the comics. We'll look up the stuff about Atom Eve, I guess. Yes.
I want to circle back to something Justin brought up, which is really interesting. At this point in your nerd life, you don't watch through the fucking credits now? Like, that's not an automatic thing that you should know to fucking do?
Well, a lot of times they take the credits away, and I'll go back and scan them. And sometimes, like, if you watch some Marvel movies, they're like, here's the next one, and I'm like, wait a second, we know there's stuff hidden here. It's
that's what I'm saying. Pick a side, dude. What are you doing? Like, you're
well,
all
I'm just
over
saying, I guess I didn't expect, you don't often see post-credit scenes on not the last episode of the season of a TV show.
Yeah, I was also not expecting it, and I had the same reaction as Justin. I also, right, as soon as a Marvel movie is done, I just walk right out. I just leave. No, Pete, just a hard no on that.
Yeah, no, we know better at this point. Be better, gentlemen. Be better.
All right. Any other notes for the episode that you want to call out? Any other scenes or lines or anything that particularly jumped out at you before we start to wrap this up here?
I like the babysitting kid. I thought he was cool. I was hoping more for that. relationship.
Yes.
Well, he probably went on to be a world-renowned chemist.
Absolutely. Maybe we'll see him next season.
I like the Lego tie-ins. You know
Alex,
what I mean?
Great Lego tie. Alex, I feel like you're like, will we see this random character again? This extra in the background? Big character in season 2, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm just looking for clues.
Psyched. You're just psyched.
I like looking in the episode.
Around.
As soon as you hit those credits, I'm out of there. But in the episode, I'm pulling through that. I'm pulling that stuff away. You know, it's like when you order a sandwich. When you order a sandwich, like I'm ripping that sandwich apart, looking at every single piece of it. The bag of chips straight to the garbage.
How much would it cost?
They're pronounced chips. They're chips.
An olive and cream cheese sandwich.
Wait, what would I do with it?
How much would it cost you to eat one of those?
Oh God, I would do that for free. I love olives.
Exactly. I would do. I would order that.
Oh my God!
I like.
If that was on a menu, I'd be like, sounds good.
No, if I had a child and they were like, "Yeah, I wanted an olive," I would be like, "Okay, I want a this isn't my kid. I mean, this is clearly."
Do you know what I would say? I gave a bad answer.
That's when you say. That's when you say the quote. I would. You should have never been born. If you order olive.
No, I would never say that.
You just basically said it.
No, I said I want to find out whose kid this is because I'm going to love you as my own, but there's something amiss here.
I gave a bad answer earlier to the photograph thing. If I could change my family photograph to anything, it would be the Wilkins parents, because I would love for them to make me cream cheese and olive sandwiches every day of my life. And
they seem like a fun
Wilkins
family.
Kid.
Yeah. I'd love my dad to hate me and my mom to make me terrible sandwiches. That would be great. Before we wrap up here, what was the invincible moment of the episode to you? That's how we wrap these up, I believe. Invincible moment of the episode. Justin, you got anything?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that question. Great question, Alex. I would say, I mean, there's a lot of moments I think that stand out here, but I think we talked about early, the family photo replacement, I thought was the most crystallized the theme, set the character up for where she is in the series when we meet her in season 1, and was just a great encompassing of the whole, sort of summarizing the whole emotional arc of the episode.
Yeah, I would throw out there probably the Avatar, The Last Airbender, Pete.
Thank you.
Moment.
Just say non-blue, motherfucker.
I could also say
non-blue motherfucker.
The her really breaking through with her powers and figuring out who she is. Obviously, she is emotionally destroyed after that. We get that heart-wrenching scene of her collapsing and crying against the wall before she goes home. But that's the moment when she's literally at her peak powers, and that's the sort of thing that I think we're going to see her explore in season 2 as she continues to grow and continues to figure it out and continues to figure out what her mission is in life. Again, not spoiling for the comics, but that's something that is a big arc for her going forward, and I'm excited to see it. Pete, what about you? What was your invincible moment of the episode?
It was the brother-sister fight. The fact that she found out about her real family, and he has a lot of resentment built up because she got to leave the tube, and so he's going to be angry about that. But then through fighting, he realizes, no, I do care about this person, and he dies in a very heroic Avengers way.
Well, it is time for us to go back to the tube, at least until November 3rd when the series returns. But if you want to support this podcast and all the podcasts we do, patreon.com/comic book club. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. I know, right? To Facebook and YouTube. Come hang out. We'd love to chat with you about Invincible. Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, or the app of your choice to subscribe, listen, and follow the show at Comic Book Live on Twitter, Comic Book Club Live on Instagram, and TikTok, comicbookclublive.com for this podcast and many more. Until next time, this has been all about Atom Eve. And did you know, we always like to leave you on a fun fact, that was one of Marilyn Monroe's early roles. What? Huh.
It's a fun fact. It's a fun fact.